Hello, Recon87 here and welcome back to Combat Mission Battle for Normandy. We have rejoined the Argyll and Southern Highlanders B Company elements in their push on Mondrainville. So in the last episode, it was a fairly quiet one to be fair, as we pushed elements of 10th Platoon into the farmhouses on the edge. We got no additional German contacts, so beside a holdout from our initial contacts along this kind of hedge line, no further information on where the Germans are. But quiet can be good. However, we are just over 20 minutes through this 10-hour timeline, so I would like to try and push a little bit further into some of our objectives over the next kind of 10 minutes or so. So in terms of what our plan is, well, as I said, we've got 10th Platoon here, so their plan is still to sweep through into Is and try and secure this location. Meanwhile, I want to take 12th Platoon, which have been kind of operating as an initial firebase to push back the initial German contacts. I'm going to move them up and try and set essentially a firebase just in the corner of objective Reti here. And probably just hold them there. Again, we'll have to see exactly what we spot in terms of Germans, but it's a good position for them to hold while we advance. Was it 10th Platoon as supported by our reserve Platoon 12th into Is before we kind of push on to kind of clear out the rest of his objectives. That's what the general plan is. Obviously, we're doing to clear out the last holdout. And to assist with this, we do have some scouting elements. So we've got a scout and some engineers we're using to kind of feel out Is, but as yet, no firm contacts. And of course, we do have to worry about where that Panzer has ended up. On that topic, so we have got a sound contact from 3rd section here who thinks it's somewhere down this road, so we'll have to wait and see. We really need to identify where it is and then deal with it, or plan how we're going to deal with it. We do have 2 anti-tank guns, so we've got the first one set up back here, which is probably not doing a lot, and I will look to move him within the next couple of minutes. Ideally, if we can secure Is, or at least secure most of Is, and try and bring him up somewhere on this corner might be a good place for him to potentially spot and maybe get an eye on some of the tank's movements. Feeling that, we had brought our second gun here up into the centre. Just going through units in between the videos, I have noticed that this guy is bogged, so hopefully he will unbog himself. I mean, they are obviously tracked carriers, which are better for going across the ground, but there's also a chance he comes immobilised, and then that is going to be a long way for this team to try and hoof this gun into any sort of usable position, which is going to take a long time, and they're also going to be knackered, so not ideal. Ground conditions are wet, so we are having to be a bit careful with our vehicles. On the vehicle front, we do have the kind of 3 armoured cars on our kind of westmost edge, and I'm going to kind of keep them in support of the forces down here. Again, essentially we're going to use them where we can, but hide them from a tank is the general kind of plan. Meanwhile, I have directed one of our downers to come around the outskirts, just in case we do get some, we find some guys dug in it Is, so he can provide some fire support from this field essentially in towards buildings. Now we are in a relatively good position in terms of pushing on Is because just because of the way it's set up. So for a start, it's got this stone wall around the outside, so that's going to essentially protect and cover a lot of our guys coming in from any kind of Germans that are going to be further out. It's likewise with these kind of houses, they are blocking huge sections of the field of fire. Now of course guys in second stories are still going to be able to shoot in, and it doesn't cover absolutely everything, but it's not too bad in terms of protection. So that should allow us to bring some heavier support around here without fear of bumping into the tank, unless it comes into this square, in which case all bets are off. The other element we had been trying to push in on was our forward observer, who's somewhere down here. So originally I talked about bringing him into this complex with a view to dropping some kind of some howitzers on these houses, because we'd seen some Germans around there, and it looks like we might be holding that as a bit of a strong position. However, again, having a quick look between episodes, and this is probably something I probably should have spotted earlier, there are no windows on the side of these buildings. Blank wall, blank wall, blank wall, blank wall. So, well, for starters, a terrible position for a forward observer, but also it means that these platoons we'd push into here aren't getting any spotting information. So there could be Germans in this hedge line, and we just don't know about it yet. So it is something to be aware of. So we really need our scouts to kind of do a bit of spotting before we try and push in with any of our dudes. So on the forward observer, instead, I'm going to bring him across this way into this building, where he should have an okay-ish line of sight to call in a fire mission onto those houses. So that's the general plan. I suppose one last point of note on our holdout here. So I wanted to bring these guys across the road anyway, so I'm going to bring them across the road and get them on a hunt to see if we can't close in on this guy. Meanwhile, we'll continue to hit with machine guns as we bring this car forward slightly, and I've moving this guy over one action square so he's got a better line of sight, and hopefully through all that we can finally put this poor rifle pixel trooping out of his misery. But that is enough of an introduction, so without further ado, let's just jump into the next minute. I will swing around. I think I'll swing around this way so we can get a bit of a view on the action on this side. And yeah, but we'll still see if we get any more spots or, heaven forbid, flashy icons. And I would really love at some point to get eyes on that tank. I'm surprised he can't see those guys. He should have a straight line of sight into there. And I'm also surprised these guys haven't decided to book it. That's quite a lot sustained fire they've under. Oh, there we go. So, just quick pause there. I've been hearing that machine gun fire, but I was keeping an eye out for tracers or anything. Couldn't see anything. So we have finally found ourselves some Germans. Oh, we'll go over now and have a look. I suspect it's just a infantry team with obviously a machine gun that we can hear spurting away. Well, we can see one guy with a machine gun. Okay. And who's made the spot? Oh, it's our guys walking. Okay. So obviously he's just glimpsed a line of sight into there and is spraying them down. Wonder if we might be able to tweak our armoured car forward a little bit to boost the fire. It's a long way though, so it's not going to be particularly effective. But yeah, one to note. Let's go on with the last 20 seconds. I can't believe this guy is still there. And I can't believe you can't see him either. Every now and then he just pops his head up. Oh. Looks like his race has finally been run. He was going for that Iron Cross. And there he goes at the end. Okay, good. Well, that's cleared that out. At least it allows us to bring our troops forward a little bit more, and it was definite irritation. I am cautious about bringing any armoured cars into here though, because you know, if a tank's sitting just there, he's probably got a reasonable line of sight across quite a large area. Let's go into command phase. I can't believe we haven't spotted anything in here though. Genuinely amazed, but I mean, we've got to have some kind of defense again in you know. Oh, another important thing. How are we getting on? We got it. We're out. Excellent. I'm probably just going to leave them here for now. I would like to bring them into here, but I don't want them getting shot at, and I'd quite like to know exactly where the tank is and have a bit more of secure of this area before we move them around. Question is, do we want to push our luck a little bit with this car? Do you know what? Why not? Let's scoot him forward. He may end up having to run away at quick pace if he spots the... I was looking for a target light, that's why. If he spots the tank. Oh no, you're not seeing it. That's surprising. Okay. We'll leave him there though, he may change his mind. Okay, more importantly, I think it's time to probably try and push across one of these infantry sections. I think you're probably in the best place to start. I don't think there's any risk of kind of Germans' positions in here providing any kind of enfilading fire. You might cop some fire over here, so we might be better kind of pushing down and in at this angle. Let's get you guys to set up here. And I think this platoon, who was being shot at and is not very happy about it, yeah, and a slight change of plan. I'm going to get you guys instead to come around and into this field. And I know you're a bit knackered, but please keep jogging. And there's a nice big driveway, which is good. And could you please come over here, where there's a gap in the hedge so we can go across into these fields. And that should be protected from positions along here if they do have them. Good, this armoured car has made it round no problem, which is excellent to see. You are still pushing in with absolutely no sight or sign of any Germans, which is frankly amazing. I'm almost tempted to bring you there and leave you there for a minute, just to make sure we're not spotting anything. Okay, and okay, now that we've cleared that guy, I'm going to have, most of these guys are moving forward anyway, but I'm going to bring the last section forward as well, probably more along this edge. Again, I want him to take position in here. I will go and issue those movement orders off camera, and then I'll come back. Alright, orders issued, and let's push forward into the next minute. I did also move that section from a reserve platoon who suffered the injuries from the... oh, I forgot to cancel his target light. Okay, this could go wrong actually, because we can end up shooting the wrong guys there. Oh, I'm kicking myself. Anyway, I was trying to say I did move the guys who've been injured to put in some commands for them to go and buddy aid the casualties. I'm just hosing down my own men right now. Oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, we found a German with a pistol. Okay. Oh, no, okay. Well, on the plus side, I don't think it was my. It was our own unit which shot. I'll just double check that. Shot our own men. Although, no, it definitely looks like it's small arms fire, but I'm not sure who it came from. Okay. Okay, looks like there's definitely 2 Germans in here. And there goes 2 of our scout team. Oh, okay, that's unfortunate, but not the worst thing in the world. Interesting, we're now getting, presumably from this guy, sound contacts of a tank kicking around down here. Okay. And indeed, they could push all the way up here to the tank, which would be difficult to contend with. That's good. That information is good to know. Even if it did cost us probably somewhat needlessly our scout team. Right, you're probably in a bad way. You just hang fire, we'll get you some support. Okay. I just want to take it back as well, because I know we were very focused on these guys getting themselves murderized at my command. There was definitely some heavy machine gun fire on this chap. At least I thought I saw it anyway. Perhaps not. Perhaps not, we'll keep him there. Okay, command phase. I need to go and sort this little mess I've made for myself. So it should be relatively straightforward. I should just be able to move this guy into a position where he's going to have eyes on those Germans down that hedge line, and then he'll just mow them down with his machine gun. You stay there. We do have squaddies moving up. I think they can safely get to there without being hurt. You, meanwhile, no, just stop what you're doing. You, oh god, only commanders left with a pistol. Just, do you know what? I'm not sure if the Germans can see you, but just in case they can, why don't you try and pull yourself back and see if you can save yourself. Meanwhile, if this tank is here, which it's... Well, you heard a tank. Let's see if they've got more than one tank. That could be bad. But I think what we can do is bring this AT gun into this kind of... into here. And think, probably try and find somewhere we can set up that's got reasonable lines of sight. Not entirely sure what that would be. Potentially somewhere as far forward as here, if we can get it set up, which is a big if, because we don't control this area at the moment. And then I'm going to bring the other AT gun over to try and cover kind of this angle. That's the general plan. Meanwhile, these guys have made it across to absolutely no sign of the Germans. This is really odd. No, you keep pushing in there as a scout. You still haven't seen anyone, so you keep doing your thing. Yeah, once you get there, I'll let you walk across into this field. The brain gunners, I'd quite like. I will get you to move quickly, just bring you into this position. And these guys are. I just come out of the house, so you're ready to move across the road from where we want to push in with our next section. But it is surprisingly quiet. 2 IC I brought up because I did note there was a bit of a viewpoint, so I'm going to need to come out. There's a gap in the hedge there. I'd like to come across and then get into this house at level 2 because there's a couple of windows on that side. Again, I'm going to make sure you're not trying to shoot at anyone, but it will give us hopefully a bit more scouting information. Yeah, if anyone gets close, feel free to have a pop. Beyond that, don't bother. Good. Meanwhile, I am conscious I don't want to get my cars killed. Right, I'm going to go and plot a path for this guy coming over. And then we'll come back for the next minute. Okay, course plotted. Let's jump into the next minute. I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to set them up yet. Oh, that's good. We've got another firm spot on them by our armoured car. This is good. That's what I put them there for. Well, you're safely getting back. Hopefully you're going to be able to see those guys. And you are starting to open up, which is good, although it may prompt the response from Tank Boy. Which we are not yet set up to defend against. In fact, if he charges tank down the middle, we've got no real defence from that. And again, absolutely no spots in is. Oh, reminds me I was going to take those off after my initial intro, which I completely forgot about. This guy really can't see the Germans there. That's slightly disappointing. Hey, these guys get around quite quickly. I wasn't expecting him to go over here in this minute. But again, I don't think we're in a position to try and put him in a decent spot around here until we've got some more platoons in actually defending this stuff. Or holding this stuff, I should say. Oh, wow, a very quiet minute. Okay, command fate is. I'm going to do some tweaks around here to see what we can do to spot that guy. And continue to push in. About that, I don't think we're going to make any changes. But I'm just going to do some double checks and then we'll just run straight into the next minute, I think. Okay, so we've got 3 quick things to talk about. First is, unfortunately, this armoured car claims not to be able to see this spot on the ground. And although I think if you look at it graphically, he can. Obviously, there's probably a difference between exactly what we see in terms of the graphical hedges and what the kind of computer may use for line of sight. Just because I know you get obviously different textures and graphics, and I'm sure it just it treats all hedge as the same kind of barrier. So we may have to wait until our rifle platoon section, get into position and then kind of push them against this hedge to take those guys out. Not ideal. They've got an by looks or things, they've got an MP40, so definitely potential for casualties. But it does not look like we can bring our really armour to bear, with the exception of we could essentially, I suppose, we could swing wide and put some HE shells on this side of the hedge. And maybe I'll do that at the same time we push in, just to really kind of pinch off any concerns there. Okay, that was one. Number 2, FO is in position. He does have a good sight of this area, and I've set up a fire order for essentially to use the rest of our 65 shells on our howitzers, on these 25 pounders. I had toyed with the idea of maybe I should save some and try and do some artillery barrage on Panzer, or on tanks, whichever. So there might be one up here. We think also there's one down here. But my concern is, I mean, this is quite a long call-in period, kind of 9 minutes. So a couple of things. One, it requires us to find where the tank is, get the FO into reasonable position, both of which can be quite time-consuming. We do only have half an hour left. Then we've got 9 minutes to call an order, and throughout that whole time we need to ensure that tank doesn't move and the FO doesn't get injured. And then even then, it's certainly not a guaranteed chance of knocking things out, although I have used them successfully in the past to take out kind of stugs and stuff. And it is possible, because the AI tends not to move its armor around quite as much as a player might. But, so, in the end I decided, no, I'm just going to use them here and try and get my AT guns in on my act to deal with the tanks, or potentially get some of these armoured cars round behind it, but that's probably dicey. Okay, that was 2. Number 3. Yes, our AT gun has been packed up all the way over here. So, yep, got those guys to hook the gun back up, and we're going to bring it in with a view to bring it over to this corner. Again, to try and get some line of sight behind here. I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to place it yet. Well, actually, I'm almost tempted to bring it along this road instead. It's a little exposed, In fact, it's not a little exposed, it's really blooming exposed. So I might be better actually, yeah, just bring it into like this hedgerow. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And at least that way we can bring it in here, which should be nice and protected by the time we secure this area. Good. Yeah, meanwhile, advance as planned. These guys are going to push in, as the Germans don't seem to be home. And I did decide, since this avenue seems relatively safe, even with these guys, rather than hop this fence, I'm just going to bring them down and push all 3 sections in this angle. And then we'll try and take up position in this farmhouse area. And with the howitzer barrage taking 9 minutes before it lands in, it will limit how far we can advance. So like, so we'll get this section in, probably occupy a couple of these houses. I might not even push in for these 3, just leave along this hedge line these houses, just in case some of our howitzers kind of fall outside the range. But I might even pull back a little bit further. And then once that barrage goes through, then we can consider pushing in there. And in the meantime, we'll concentrate on trying to kind of tidy up down here and get a reasonable position for our AT gun. Okay, too much talking, not enough progressing, so let's go. Although, I say that, I'm not expecting huge amounts of things to happen in this turn. I don't want to push him forward any further just yet, at least not until we can kind of clear out these guys behind him. We do have the rest of our rifle section coming, yes? Yeah, they're just lagging behind. Oh, I certainly hear small arms fire. Not entirely sure where from though. Some more spots. We do seem to be holding this hedgerow. We shouldn't be too much problem. Let's say we can get a nice big barrage in there, and then if we can kind of sweep in from this direction, allow us to flank that position, that's all well and good. The big unknown is going to be these tanks. Now, would you guys get into position, please? Again, it's smattering of fire, but not sure exactly what's doing. Okay. And I don't think there's really any tweaks to be made. You guys are still pushing in. You guys are coming in. You're in position. I suppose with these, what I'm using is scouts. I'm trying to say, cause oh, this may have been where some fire was received. I'm not sure if he was injured before. Also not sure why you've got your Webley out, but you've got plenty. No. Oh, you don't have enough ammo for your Bren. Should have got you to pick some up from a carrier. Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, your job's to scout, not to shoot, so I'll not worry too much about that. Yeah, let's get you in your scouting role to push round just somewhere like that. So I think it might be over here we could be taking fire from. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to push any more forward at the moment. Okay, let's just keep rolling. I should probably have got this platoon to jog up here, because I would like resolution on this sooner rather than later, as it is holding up our advance, and more importantly our positioning of an AT gun. I think, I mean, ideally you might think, well, actually just have it tucked up in here hard against the hedge, but I don't know. I worry about our ability to get into that position without being blown to smithereens. So you might have to settle for something along here, but again I worry about how the hedge interacts with line of sight, as we've seen before with fences. Okay, these guys are now getting position. That's good. Oh, hang on. Who has made this spot? Please be the armored car. Oh, it is a armored car. And I really hope he does not have a pot shot, because he's liable just to hurt our own guys. I do want a quick look at this chap to see. Oh, he's doing a bit of buddy aid. That's nice. I respect that. Germans looking after their own. Oh god, he did. Man, that is going to scare the bejesus out of my guys, and lucky if we don't kill them. That was mildly terrifying. They seem surprisingly okay with it. Okay, quiet minute. Where are these? And yeah, I didn't hear any more anything from over here actually. Okay, command phase it is. I'm going to push this guy for along the hedge. Operation Scooting About. Yeah, we'll bring these guys. These guys are in position, so let's bring our second section over now. This one needs to come up and probably just hold this hedge line, to be honest. And again, that might be as far as we push in. We've secured this objective. We can bring our mortar element forward. I could leave these guys there, but I don't think they're doing much. No, I'll bring them along. I'll bring the whole platoon in. I'll bring the Brent gunner down for now, and we'll push in later. Okay, it's going relatively successfully. I mean, I can't complain really about things being quiet. Right, let's get our AT gun over here a little bit. Bring their carrier in as well. I suppose I should probably be concerned about lines of sight, so maybe I won't be quite so aggressive with that. Okay, I'm going to tweak those. I'll do that before we start next minute. And yeah, over here what I'm going to do is, as discussed, I'm going to get him to swing out wide and put some fire in against this hedgerow, and I'll get these boys to line up on that hedge, and hopefully that should deal with the German guys that are in there. But I'll go and I'll fix that movement order before we kick off. Alright, so what I've done is I've got him to move over here. I'm going to do a 15-second target briefly command, which should be enough to put some shells down. Meanwhile, I've given these guys a 30-second pause, and then push over. So all that should hopefully coincide nicely, so I'm not shooting anywhere near my own troops. Meanwhile, in terms of the tweaks I was making with my AT gun, yeah, so quite dramatically changed it, just getting them to come in behind. I want to get the scouts over on this hedgerow to see what I can see, because there does look like there's a few keyhole positions, so I could potentially get in the wrong angle against a tank, and that would be a very bad day indeed. Without further ado, let's push on. Let's see if these commands and timings have worked, or if I'm going to accidentally obliterate a large portion of my section, which would be pretty sad making. So really, as long as he starts firing before 45, he'll stop before they move. And that's exactly what's happened. So that's good. So I really what I want here is that he gets suppressed from this fire, and so by the time they turn up, we're just shooting at guys curled up on the ground. Or looking at dead bodies. I'll take either. Okay, now they should go. Oh. This is working surprisingly well thus far. Right, have we got well, we've got a spot from over here. And we've got a spot here. Right, just quick pause before we see action. Who is spotting you? That armoured car again. I'm happy with that. And, oh. Did we get him? Oh. Brain gunner did the job. Good job, good job, good job, good job. Excellent. And that's going to allow us to push in and start securing this hedge line, which is what we want. Much happier at that. And we'll get our poor commander to go in and rescue his, do some casualty aid and pick up a brain gun probably. Alright. Hang on, I have spotted something. Oh no, I haven't. I thought I was missing an icon, but he's over here. So I have spotted nothing. So command phase it is. Again, I can't believe we haven't spotted any further units here. Well, I would like you to move all the way over to that hedge and really get a good look on what's going on here. And likewise, I mean, you're not going to get the greatest angles from down here, but take up that position. Because where are the Germans? There doesn't seem to be that many of them. Okay. Any other movements I want to make? Potentially not. You're still fine and having an occasional pop at that German when you make contact. I'm okay with that. Yeah, we want to start and push guys in over here. So, probably just going to push them initially against this hedge line, see what we can see without triggering a panzer. And I'm going to think about bringing our carrier in and unhooking him. I think the first thing I want to do though is get a section over this road. Possibly into bottom of my house. I might start breaking up my sections into detachments, just to minimise the risk that if we get spotted by the tank and we take a high explosive round, if they're in smaller teams, it's going to do less damage. So I think I will do that. So I'm going to break down these guys and push them across the road and take into a couple of positions over here and see what we can see. Okay, I will go and do that off camera. Alright, broken down as discussed, and give them a couple of orders to cross the road. So we've got, I also broke down these guys into, they were already in, had one detachment out, so I broke out the second one again, just hold into a couple of different positions. Oh, it looks like we are getting some fire on our scout here from, probably again along this tree line. So that does seem to be the kind of hard point they're holding, which is, honestly, that's interesting. I wonder if that's ours or theirs. I'll need to move these cars out of the way. It's not the end of the world if you got that, 'cause like I say, we should be able to flank them quite easily, because there's a lot of open space when we can, as long as we can take these tanks out. That's going to help our armoured cars. I'm going to have to go and have a back and see. Oh, we got some more contact there. Alright, I'm going to let it run just because I want to see what these guys spot over here. Which is lots of nothing at the minute. Oh, one other thing, which as you can see here, so I brought this car in, essentially hiding behind this house but facing in this direction to hopefully provide some additional support. Oh, these trees are probably causing lots of problems with line of sight. Ideally, you just roll your car up to here and have at the guys in the hedge, but that's not going to go very well for when they have armoured support. Okay, so we've got a couple of important spots over here. Let's run this back. Somewhere like that, because I think we've got one in the village, or actually it might have just been this guy over here. Right, hang on. Where's that coming from? Looks like just in there, to be honest. Looks like they might have some infantry there. Yep, that looks pretty much where they are. Okay, that's not a problem. We can definitely deal with that. And they've got some infantry further back here. Interesting. So if they're not defending where anywhere near where I thought they would. These guys are really far out. I mean, to be fair, protecting the flank, so gotta give them some credit for that. But we can certainly bring, in fact, we can bring a lot of elements of this platoon over as firepower over here. And again, we can use this armoured car and the brain carrier to put down some offensive fire on these guys. Which is probably what I'll do. Trying to protect from this tank. Yeah, there's definitely guys in there. Surprised we haven't been able to identify them, but I'll not complain too much about that. Okay, good. That gives a much better understanding of the kind of defense they've got over here. They might not have anyone in these buildings actually, so our howitzers may be a little bit wasted, but that's okay. I'm still happy to have used them, because it does look like there's lots of guys in and around this area. So, what's the plan going to be? I think it is going to be to utilise some of the armoured cars, put some pressure fire down on these guys. I would still love to get my 80 gun in this position, but I'm going to have to do some work before they can get set up. I think ideally if I can get, you know, armored car suppressing one guy, bring carrier suppressing the other, which is going to need this guy to get back in, but we can work with that. Or potentially just bring one of our sections over to put some suppressive fire down. Then we can get the A-team position, just in case we decide to respond with their tank. So obviously if he catches us before we're set up, that's no good. But all that is going to have to wait until next time, because it's going to bring us to the end of this video. So another kind of fairly tense episode. Just a kind of few sporadic contacts, but we have certainly pushed in there. We've kind of not firm set up, but starting to set up the kind of fire base I was after. We've more than secured this area. We've got our fire mission ongoing for that part, and then we're just going to have to see how we can utilise these areas to really try and flank round and collapse in on the Germans that are here. But as I said, that will have to wait next time. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video, and as ever, I'll catch you all in the next one.